There's a moment that happens to every motorcycle rider. It's quiet, it's personal, and nobody talks about it. It's the moment you realize you don't give a damn anymore. Not about the bikes other people ride, not about the gear they think you should wear, not about their opinions on your route, your pace, or why you're riding alone again. And when that moment hits you, something changes forever. Today, I'm going to tell you why older riders have stopped caring what you think. And if you're under 40, this is probably going to piss you off. But if you're over 50, you already know every word I'm about to say is true. Section 1. The shift nobody tells you about. Let me be blunt. Young riders don't understand this yet, and that's fine. They're not supposed to. When you're in your 20s or 30s, motorcycling is social currency. It's an identity you wear. You need people to know you ride. You need the wave from other bikers. You need the nod at the gas station. You need to post the photo with the bike in the background. And there's nothing wrong with that. But somewhere between your late 40s and mid 50s, something shifts. It's not gradual. It's more like waking up one morning and realizing the things that used to matter just don't anymore. You stop caring if your bike is the newest model. You stop caring if anyone thinks your exhaust is too quiet. You stop caring if people see you riding, because you finally figured out what motorcycling actually is. And it has absolutely nothing to do with anyone else. Now here's where this gets controversial, and I don't care. Most of what younger riders call the riding community isn't about riding at all. It's about performing. It's about validation. It's about proving you belong to something. And older riders, we've already done that. We've already spent decades proving ourselves. We've already ridden in groups of 20 bikes, matching vests, planned routes, Instagram stops. And you know what we learned? Most of that wasn't riding. It was managing egos and taking photos. Look, I'm not saying group rides are bad. I'm saying they're not what we're looking for anymore. We don't need to prove we can keep up. We don't need approval from strangers at bike nights. We don't need to explain why we ride a 15-year-old bike instead of the latest model. We just need the road, and that drives younger riders absolutely insane. Section 2. Why this pisses people off. Here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to say out loud. When an older rider stops showing up to group rides, stops engaging in online forums, stops caring about what's cool in the motorcycle world, younger riders take it personally. They think you're judging them. They think you think you're better than them. They think you've become some bitter old guy who hates fun. But that's projection. Because here's what's actually happening. You've just stopped performing. And when you stop performing, it makes everyone else's performance visible. And that makes them uncomfortable. Think about it. When you're the guy who shows up to a bike night, orders a water, stays for 20 minutes, and leaves without taking a single photo, you're making a statement whether you intend to or not. You're saying, I don't need this validation. And that bothers people who still do. The same thing happens when you decline a group ride. Hey man, we're doing a loop through the mountains Saturday. You in? Nah, I'm good. No excuse, no explanation, just no. That used to feel rude to me. Now, it's liberating. Because here's what nobody talks about. Approval seeking was never about motorcycles. It was about filling a void. But by your 50s, you know exactly who you are. And motorcycling becomes what it always should have been. Not status, not image. Just the ride. But this creates a cultural divide in the motorcycle world that's getting worse, not better. Section 3. The war nobody's talking about. There's a generational war happening in motorcycling right now, and most people are pretending it doesn't exist. On one side, you've got older riders who value independence, solitude, and simplicity. They ride old bikes. They don't modify much. They don't care about social media. They just want to ride and be left alone. On the other side, you've got younger riders obsessed with gear reviews, spec comparisons, Instagram aesthetics, group dynamics, and online validation. And neither side understands the other. I watched this play out last month at a bike meet. Young guy walked up, asked about my old Bonneville. You ever think about upgrading? He says, not an insult, genuine question. But there it is. To him, a 20-year-old bike needs upgrading. To me, it's broken in. That gap, that's not about bikes. That's about what we think riding is for. Younger riders think older riders are gatekeeping, that we're stuck in the past, that we refuse to adapt to new technology or new riding culture. Older riders think younger riders have lost the plot, that they care more about looking like a rider than actually riding, that they've turned motorcycling into a performance instead of a practice. And here's the problem. Both sides are partially right. Yes, some older riders are stuck in the past and refuse to acknowledge that motorcycling culture has evolved. But yes, some younger riders genuinely care more about the aesthetic than the experience. But here's what gets missed in this divide. Older riders aren't rejecting community. We're rejecting shallow community, the kind where showing up is more important than connecting, where owning the right bike matters more than knowing how to ride it, where taking the photo is more important than being present for the moment. We're not antisocial, we're just selective. And that selectiveness comes from experience. When you've been riding for 30, 40 years, you've seen it all. You've seen riders come and go. You've seen trends rise and fall. You've watched people buy bikes for status and sell them 6 months later. And you learn to spot the difference between someone who rides and someone who wants to be seen riding. That's not judgment, that's pattern recognition. But younger riders don't have that perspective yet. They haven't lived through enough cycles to see the patterns, so when an older rider opts out, it feels like rejection. It's not. It's just evolution. Look, I know some of you are already typing angry comments. That's fine. But before you do, just think about the last time you rode. Really rode. Not for the photo, not for the group, just you and the machine. How long has it been? Section 4. What solitude actually teaches you? Let me tell you what happens when you stop riding for approval and start riding for yourself. First, you get better. Not faster, not more aggressive, better. Because when you're alone, there's no one to impress, no one to keep up with, no one watching your lines. So you stop riding beyond your limits. You stop taking risks to prove something. You ride at your actual skill level. And that's when real improvement happens. Second, you start noticing things. The way light hits a canyon wall at sunrise, the smell of pine trees after rain, the sound of your engine echoing off a tunnel. These details disappear when you're riding in a group because you're too busy managing social dynamics. But alone, you're present, fully there, and that presence changes everything. Third, you learn self-reliance. If something goes wrong, you're the one fixing it. No group to radio, no buddy to tow you. Just you and the problem. And every time you solve it yourself, you build confidence. Real confidence. Not the borrowed kind that comes from being part of a group. Fourth, and this is the big one, you discover who you actually are on a bike. When you're always riding with others, your riding style is influenced by the group. You ride faster to keep up, slower to stay together. You take routes you don't care about because that's where everyone's going. But alone, every decision is yours. Which road to take, when to stop, how fast to go, whether to turn around or push forward. And over time, you develop your own riding philosophy, your own relationship with the machine, the road, and the ride. That's something no group can give you. Section 5. The truth about freedom. Here's the part that's going to make some people angry. Most riders talk about freedom, but they don't actually practice it. They say they ride for freedom, but then they only ride when the group rides. They say they value independence, but they won't take a solo trip. They say they don't care what people think, but they're posting every ride to social media. That's not freedom. That's performance with a freedom aesthetic. Real freedom is uncomfortable. It's riding alone and not feeling the need to document it. It's saying no to the group ride without offering an excuse. It's choosing a Tuesday afternoon solo run over a Saturday morning spectacle. And here's why this matters. As you get older, time becomes the most valuable thing you have. Not money, not status, time. And you start asking yourself, do I want to spend my riding time managing group dynamics, or do I want to actually ride? Do I want to stop every hour for photos, or do I want to cover ground? Do I want to explain my choices, or do I want to just make them? And when you choose yourself, People call you selfish. They call you a loner. They say you've changed. But you haven't changed. You've just stopped pretending. You've stopped pretending you care about things that don't matter. You've stopped pretending approval from strangers adds value to your life. You've stopped pretending that riding in a group of 30 bikes is somehow more meaningful than riding alone at sunrise. And once you stop pretending, you can't go back. Because that feeling, that clarity, that peace, it's what you were looking for the whole time. Not in a crowd, not in a club, not in someone else's approval, but in the quiet moments, the solo rides, the times when nobody's watching. That's where the real ride is. So here's the bottom line. Older riders don't need your approval because we've already given ourselves permission. Permission to ride how we want, when we want, with who we want, or alone. We're not running from people, we're running towards something better. Clarity, peace, freedom, connection. And we found it. Not in a group ride photo, not in a thumbs up from a stranger at a stoplight, but in the ride itself. If you're a younger rider and this pissed you off, good, sit with that. Ask yourself why. Maybe you'll find something. If you're an older rider and this resonated, you already knew it was true. So here's my question. When was the last time you rode with no destination, no post, and no one to impress? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every one. If this hit home, hit that like button and share it with another rider who gets it. Subscribe if you want more real talk about motorcycles and life. Thanks for riding with me today. I'll see you on the next one.